That was a pretty cool transition to a new scene. I like that. Okay, a couple of things before I start this review of Ghost in the Shell. Yes, this is actually in 3D. I edit these to have one in 2D and one in 3D. So there's likely, if you're watching this in 2D, you can find the 3D version on my channel, although the 3D versions tend to be a little bit more delayed than the 2D versions from the editing I have to do. The other thing is that my editing is taking me a long time on these videos, and I've got over 400 different TV shows and movies I want to do. So to pump these out, I'm going to have to lower the quality, which means lowering the editing time it takes me, which means uploading my videos more raw. I'm still going to try and edit out some of my stutters and sort of the time wasting I do with my speaking, because I struggle talking. Okay, I should add that in my last video, I can't remember if it was Ikea one, I was talking about subtitles and dubs. So I'm now going to show you one of the problems with the dubs. So what I've done is I've left this audio track onto the English dub and left subtitles on. So now you can compare how different the dubbers are. And what it is sometimes they'll be like for like, well, the majority will be like for like. But what it is the character might say something that the dubber finds offensive, so they refuse to say it, therefore diminishing who or what that character is in the story the actual artist who made the actual show wanted to portray the character as, because the English dubbers refused to actually say the words. And this is one of them where it's like you know why they've changed the words, and they refuse to wanted to say the words. It's clear as day why they did it. But I thought I'd just give this as a quick example because it's like right at the start of the movie, and you can clearly see the difference between the subtitle and what she says in English.
Originally, the purpose of this project was to...
Major Kusanagi, Section 6 is in position. Major, are you there?
Yeah, I heard you.
I'm surprised you can hear anything. What's with all the noise in your brain today?
Must be a loose wire.
And now you see the difference between them two to from the dub and the subtitle as well. So I'm going to leave the dub on just so people kind of get like a gist of, because it's easier, it's probably easier to follow along with the dub as well, which I've said before in VR, it's kind of hard to read the subtitles because I don't actually have the subtitles in 3D or anything. So and the aliasing is kind of really bad inside the headset of the VR headset. So this art style is very similar to Akira, but what they've done is not as consistent as Akira. In this one, they pick and choose when to actually add more detail to the face, to add more expression to the face, and then there's other scenes where they'll just like completely leave something out and be more classical anime, rather than like Akira, which was, in my opinion, it was more consistent in its artwork. Like the noses would always be well drawn in Akira, whereas as you can see with this is what they're doing is they're putting more effort into the eyes and kind of just smoothing out the rest of the face. But I also think this is on purpose, this scene as well, because the whole point of this is kind of like the ghost in the shell, whereas the eyes are the window to the soul. So obviously they're making the eyes more appealing because obviously it's kind of like it comes across as more doll-like when you have like a plastic like flat face and then them eyes, really high detailed eyes. It comes across as a doll, and that's what they're aiming for, I think, with this. So I love how that scene subtly shows you how heavy your body actually is, because she bends that like steel pipe in, like as she goes down, it kind of hints at she actually weighs quite a lot. And it doesn't like a Hollywood movie would have to tell you that's what that scene was about.
Have to explain. My country has the right, in accordance with international law, to offer anyone protection and safe passage. The affidavit is at the embassy. I'll send you a...
And you see how accurate the dubbers can actually be to the subtitles when it's not something they deem offensive. All of a sudden they can do like for the subtitles or the actual translation, the English translation of what the Japanese is actually saying. Amazing how that works.
I don't believe it. Thermoptic camouflage.
So this also has one of the most famous introductions as well to anime, similar to Akira being very iconic at introducing so many people to anime. Whereas this one is more iconic in its kind of like its presentation and the art style and everything. It also has some pretty good music in it as well, like iconic wise. And that title introduction actually makes me remember about the game on PlayStation, the very first PlayStation Ghost in the Shell game. I actually had used to buy the PlayStation magazines, and there was a demo of Ghost in the Shell inside the magazine, and I played that demo the same like level, like probably like 50 to 100 times on the same level as a kid, because I couldn't actually afford the game at the time, and my parents wouldn't actually buy the game for me. I remember just playing this demo on the disc over and over again. I'm not sure how the game would hold up now, but it was something, the game I actually really liked. But as far as I'm aware, I think it was a bit of a bit of a flop of a game, probably because no one could afford it. And something I've always wondered is why like she doesn't have any sort of organs, but they've still given her some womanly features, if you know what I mean by that. And I think the reason for that is because from what I know as well and understand is it's more psychology, because the brain can like reject certain things, even if it's reality. The brain can reject it if the person doesn't link it to reality, if you know what I mean. There's like a psychology behind it. So that's probably the reason why she's actually a female, but she's been put into like a super android body, but they've given it woman features, so her brain doesn't reject the body. So I think that's the reasoning. You can explain that away, kind of in a sci-fi way. I don't know if Ghost in the Shell, to my knowledge, I've watched all the movies, and I don't think it's ever explained it in that way. I want to pause it here because this is one of the things when I was testing the actual 3D of it. This is one of the scenes I tested, and you can, if you're watching this in 3D on your headset, you can see the depth you get of the hand is really close, and obviously it's reaching away from her body, so you get this nice little depth in it, and it's crystal clear. There's not really much artifacts going on at all. But another thing again is you can see how they've put extra detail in her eyes to give her that doll effect. So I'm going to stop this there. Unfortunately, my editing is not going to be too good on this one because I'm going to be rushing it out. But I'll try and like smooth out as much as what I can with it. So you just going to have to forgive me for that. But to be fair, it's probably going to be the normal thing from now on because I want to really pump these out. As I said, I've got over 400 in a list now to do. And a lot of them are kind of niche ones. So if you're into the niche stuff, then stay tuned for that. So for my final review of Ghost in the Shell, this is the very first movie, and I would say I'd give it I'm going to change my review to watchable and enjoyable from now on. So you've got these two things, because most of the things I'm reviewing are things I already like. So I'm going to do watchable and enjoyable. Enjoyable is above watchable, but watchable means you can sit and watch it, and you might enjoy it, you might not, but you can at least sit and watch it and as something to watch. It's not like something you're going to probably turn off halfway through. So I probably give this one, I'd give it a watchable. It's almost unenjoyable. But I don't think it's, for me personally, it's not up there with some of the ones I really get into.